Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Lisa, and I'm here to share some devotionals with all of you. The first one is titled Wealthy Oppressors. An amazing fact: the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. This is an old truism, but a 2010 study by Norton and Ariely shows that people don't realize how true it is. Researchers asked more than 5,000 respondents to identify a pie chart that looked like it represented wealth distribution in America. About 90% of respondents thought the top 20% of society owned 60% of the wealth, and most said the bottom 40% owned 8 to 10%. They were wildly incorrect. The top 20% of society actually controls 85% of wealth, and the bottom 40%, 120 million Americans, control only 0.3%. Being wealthy is not a sin, but the Bible does have some strong words for those who have gotten their wealth dishonestly. The wages of the laborers which you kept back by fraud cry out, and the cries of the reapers have reached the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. James 5 verse 4. Literally, that last phrase is the Lord of hosts, or armies. In other words, wealthy oppressors should watch out because the cries of the oppressed have been heard by the commander of a great army. How does this apply to those who aren't among the richest 20% of Americans? Consider this. Even the poorest 5% of Americans are still wealthier than most 70% of the world population. Do we contribute to the relief of the poor from their oppression? Are we content with what we have, or have we been drawn to the pleasure and luxury of the rich? After all, James compares their luxury to the fattening of an animal for slaughter and says the inevitable corrosion of their wealth is a witness against them. How much better it is to store up treasure in the heavenly bank. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Matthew 6, verses 19 through 21. And that's the end of the first devotional. And the last one I'd like to share with you is titled, A Dangerous Example. If one man sin against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sin against the Lord, who shall entreat for him? Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto the voice of their father, because the Lord would slay them. 1 Samuel 2 verse 25. Eli was priest and judge in Israel. He held the highest and most responsible positions among the people of God. As a man divinely chosen for the sacred duties of the priesthood and set over the land as the highest judicial authority, he was looked up to as an example, and he wielded a great influence over the tribes of Israel. But although he had been appointed to govern the people, he did not rule his own household. Loving peace and ease, he did not exercise his authority to correct the evil habits and passions of his children. Rather than contend with them or punish them, he would submit to their will and give them their own way, instead of regarding the education of his sons as one of the most important of his responsibilities, he treated the matter as of little consequence. The priest and judge of Israel had not been left in darkness as to the duty of restraining and governing the children that God had given to his care. But Eli shrank from his duty because it involved crossing the will of his sons and would make it necessary to punish and deny them. The curse of transgression was apparent in the corruption and evil that marked the course of his sons. They had no proper appreciation of the character of God or of the sacredness of his law. His service was to them a common thing. From childhood they had been accustomed to the sanctuary and its service, but instead of becoming more reverent, they had lost all sense of its holiness and significance. The Father had not corrected their want of reverence for his authority, had not checked their disrespect for the solemn services of the sanctuary, and when they reached manhood, they were full of the deadly fruits of skepticism and rebellion. There is no greater curse upon households than to allow the youth to have their own way. When parents regard every wish of their children and indulge them in what they know is not for their good, the children soon lose all respect for their parents, all regard for the authority of God or man, and are led captive at the will of Satan. And that is the end of these devotionals. I pray you all have a beautiful day in the Lord. God bless each and every one of you, and I will see you either next video or in the air. Bye-bye.